Hi, it's Chris Brown with ClosePoint Cafe, and this is our 5th episode of the cafe. And today we have somebody that we're going to have a conversation with that I am in awe of. And she epitomizes the saying, if you need to get something done, give it to a busy person. And she is exactly that person. She gets so much done in such a short period of time, but not only just gets it done, but she gets it done really well. It's professional, it's transparent, and it's fun. So today I'm happy to introduce my dear friend, Brenda Richmond. Hi Brenda, how are you?
Good morning, Chris. Great. How are you?
Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So Brenda, I want to go through your incredible journey in real estate, but I want to start at the beginning. I want to start when you first started out with Commerce Bank. And can you tell us about that experience and what you learned from that experience to bring you to where you are today?
So I was a kid, way back when. I started off at Heritage Bank and always wanted to work for Commerce.
Okay.
Started at Commerce in the Operations Center and worked my way up. Amazing time. Worked through mergers and acquisitions and had such a fun time at Commerce Bank. And then after 10 years, took a position with a consulting firm, traveling all around the country.
Okay.
Had a great time, managed a bunch of bank consultants, a lot of fun, a lot of learning, and then I got married. And when I got married, I was traveling 6 days a week, and it was tough, and I wanted to stay married, so I started in real estate.
So you jumped into real estate, but in commerce, though, there's a rumor that you were involved with the WOW slogan, the WOW campaign, which is so iconic in this area.
Vernon started the WOW when I was there, yes, and it was pretty amazing. Vernon was always customer centric, no matter what, the customer was right, never anything different, and that's where I learned how to make sure that no matter what happened and how it happened, the customer's always right.
Gotcha. And is that something you think has been a little bit lost today?
It is, and it's something that we in our team always make sure we embody. But yes, it is, right? It is lost.
I think that, yeah, I find that in our company, I tell our team when we have our team meetings, is we want to be a 5-star hotel. We want to anticipate people's needs before they even know that they needed those things done. And I think a lot of proactive customer service has gone to the wayside. I think things are too fast. There's no generation of relationship, which is what I want to create. But it's interesting that you bring up that and how Vernon was so customer centric, and he built an amazing brand.
Without
I mean, Commerce Bank, I mean, the WOW program and everything that went on there was just took over the area. But going from the consulting, and you did that for how long?
5 years.
5 years, and you're traveling the country, going and meeting with banks and advising them with
In the operations,
making sure that things are running efficiently.
exactly.
So you learned a lot there, I'm sure.
I did.
So then you get married, and Randy, God bless him, you come home and you say, I'm going to join real estate.
Yeah.
Where did you start?
And I said, honey, I want to be home with you, and I think I want to get my real estate license. I wanted to get my Series 7 license. I said, but let me get my real estate license first. And he said, whatever makes you happy, honey.
Nice.
And
that's
so
how he was.
That's exactly how he was.
That's how he was. That's how I remember him.
So supportive. And so I got my license, and Alice Klaus recruited me on a Sunday night and said,
wow,
come in and just audit the class. I said, I really don't want to be a realtor. I just want my license. I want to get some licenses. She's like, just come in and audit the class. And I'm like, okay. I went in and never came back.
So that was Brick at the time?
That was Brick Real Estate, and then Weichert took us over.
Then Weichert took you over. And then you got a phone call from RE/MAX.
I did.
Yeah.
I got a phone call from RE/MAX at the right time, at the right place, and said, let's talk. And I came in to talk to Kevin and got so excited, got scared and excited all at the same time.
Yep.
You had an amazing office there, and walked
you.
in and said, yeah, I want to do this.
And then as you and I got to know each other, because I was the owner of the RE/MAX at the time, that you became our manager.
I did. That was so much fun. You and I had a lot of good times.
We had interesting conversations, your ideas. I wanted you to be who you were.
You did.
And I wanted you to do it your way.
You did.
And I've always been in awe of that. I've always been impressed about how you approach everything you do, even to this day. And that's why I love having this conversation with you. So we get through the RE/MAX era. you jump and you go over to Keller Williams.
I did.
And what's happening at Keller? What are you doing there?
I enjoy the Keller because of the autonomy that we get at Keller.
Sure.
And you know me, I'm all about education,
Yes.
and education is paramount there. I've always mentored. I love mentoring. It's, I think, what I was put in the earth to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I enjoyed that. I created a team. And, I just keep evolving and keep learning more and getting into developing a global division for Nexus right now with commercial.
Right.
Just evolving and learning all the time.
I think and you continue to do things. Now, some time ago, you were also the founding member of the Women's Council of Realtors. What year was that?
So that was in 2010.
Wow.
And I saw a need for women to get together and collaborate, right? As realtors, we are always against each other on the other sides, and I saw a need to come together and learn together and have camaraderie. And so the National Association of Women's Council allowed us to charter a network, and with Dawn Bricker and myself, we chartered the Southern Regional.
That is fantastic. And it's huge today. I mean, how many members does it have today?
So now we have 7. We're going for our 8th network in Atlantic County.
Wow.
And we globally, we are global, but in the United States, we have over about 18,000 members right now.
And in
the United States.
And now in New Jersey?
And in New Jersey, we're about 300.
Oh, wow.
So we have a state board as well now.
So when and not to get too into the weeds on, but when do you guys meet? When is
each network meets at different times, and we try to meet 7 to 8 times a year. We try to do something educational. We try to do something fun.
Sure.
And then as a state, we come together 2 or 3 times a year, and as nationally, we come together twice a year.
Wow. So while you're founding the Women's Council of Realtors, you also got into doing real estate investing.
I did.
Flipping properties.
I did, which was a lot of fun.
Let's talk about that process.
So I had a partner at first, which was a little difficult. Different ideas all the time.
Sure.
You know my head, right?
Well, partnerships are never fair.
Right.
It's always what is fair at the end,
Yeah.
but not in the moment.
That's correct.
And that's what you have to get through.
That's
for
correct.
a partnership. It's like a marriage.
It is.
No
It is.
different.
Oh, totally.
Totally.
And so I did a couple of them, and then I thought, I can do this. And I developed a team, and didn't realize how difficult it really was. To me, it was going to be easy, right? I know I want to make it good.
Been in real estate for 10 years at that time.
I want to make it better than anybody else,
Right.
right? I never want to I never want to turn a house over to a buyer that's going to have problems.
Right.
So,
I would buy a house from you in a second.
Thank you.
I mean, I just know how you do things.
Right.
And I've seen some of the product. The one in Mount Holly, I thought that was absolutely gorgeous, by
Thank
the way.
you. Thank
And I think I called you on that and
You
said,
did.
hey,
You did.
you did a really nice job on this house. But buying something from you would make me absolutely comfortable knowing that it was done by Brenda Richmond.
And that is the most amazing part of it, and the excitement at the end is amazing. But going through the process is very difficult, right?
Yeah.
And the margins for doing work that well aren't great, right? So you have to find that line, and that was hard for me.
So let's talk about that process, because I'm sure there's people that want to understand. Because a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to go into flip real estate. What is the number one thing that they need to understand before getting engaged in a flipping project?
So you have to understand building, right? You have to understand what you're going to come across, and you have to really be able to analyze the building and analyze your numbers. And, Joanna and I became really good at analyzing our numbers and the building, but then things happened, right? The cost of everything went way up. The cost of labor went way up. The cost of materials went way up, right? And it was just during COVID hit us. I didn't stop, but, I had to pull back a lot.
Sure.
And, I'm still going to do some projects. I still love it. It's... still have a great team out there. It's just I don't do as much of it right now.
Well, you're kind of stretched in so many different directions, Brenda. I know some guys and girls who flip properties all the time, and that's what they do. You are Women's Council, running a team, flipping, and your next venture that you got into was becoming the president of Nexus.
So I was on the board for quite
Which
a
is
while.
a full-time job in itself, by the way.
Well, it was during all of this, right, as we were
Right.
changing.
What year was that when you began?
So I had been a board of director for about 6 or 7 years, and then
Okay.
in 2019 I became the president-elect, got on the executive committee.
Okay.
And then 2023 I became president. It was a crazy time.
Right.
It was a very crazy time.
So, becoming the president-elect of Nexus in 2023, those duties have not ended yet.
No, I'm still immediate past president, so I'm still on the board, on the governing board.
Right.
But next year I will not be. Next
Okay.
year I will have a year off, which will be awesome.
So 2023 is about the time when all the lawsuits started really heating up. We heard about them,
Right.
I think in 22.
Right.
But then in 23, it was like, okay, these are starting to get certification as class
Real.
action lawsuits throughout the nation. How did that impact you as being the elect president and then now as the past vice president?
So it was a very crazy time learning about trying to keep everything on the up and up and trying to keep everything calm, right? Because realtors were scared,
Yeah.
and our job was to make sure that we gave our members everything they needed so that they could keep going. Right? They needed information, they needed tools, they needed to understand, they needed understanding. And you're getting information from so many different sources that it's really hard, because if you got all the same information from all the sources, that would be one thing.
Right.
You're getting different information from a lot of different sources. So our job was to try to bring our membership together and to try to make sure that they stayed calm and keeping everybody calm. All of us, because we were all practicing
Right.
at the same time, needed to continue to practice and at the same time continue to learn more of what was happening. And we really didn't think it was going to take this turn. Right? We really thought that we would have more transparency in our business, but we didn't think it was going to take the turn that it took.
So talk about it. What turn?
So the turn where we totally lost the lawsuit, right? Where we had to sit back and say, okay, we're changing everything we're doing, which I don't think it's all bad. The only thing I think right now is that we have taken the transparency into too much complexity, right? The agents aren't sure of what's happening.
Yes.
And it's hard to get that out to our clients and consumers, right? We're doing a lot at the Nexus and at New Jersey Realtors and at NAR to get information out to our consumers, but it's a lot, right? When you have to sit there and go over 16 pages of information,
Right.
your clients are glassy-eyed, right?
And I'm finding, just from speaking to buyers, that they feel like they need just a lawyer to understand
That's the thing.
the contract that they're
About to
the
sign.
buyer agency agreement that
That's
they're
right.
about to sign.
Right.
And they're like, should I sign this?
Right.
I mean, I can't see a house without it. And
Right.
what is this thing telling me I got to do? And then you're competing, when you talk about different venues of information, you're competing with social media.
Oh, totally.
With somebody jumping on there.
And saying the wrong thing, and everybody's believing it, right?
And believing it, right?
And so what are you going to do about that? And
It's-
I think someday we need to come to one page that we go over with our clients, right? One page that says, here's everything summarized for you. And then I have all this backup material that you can read on your own. But let me explain this one page to you.
like a consumer information statement.
One
Page that
Yes.
just lays it out, but if they wanted to dive deeper into it, they can get it. Is that
Personally, that's what I think. Nothing like that's in the works, but
No, there isn't.
that's what I think would be nice, because we're sitting there and my team and I are talking to people, even sellers, right? Because you have to talk a whole new talk and you
Right.
have all new documents. And so just understanding agency with the new designated agency is something that hasn't caught on yet,
Wow.
And so we're going to evolve through this and we're going to get through this. And we have a lot of people working in the background to help and get the right information out there. And you're doing classes and a lot of people are doing classes. So we're going to get there.
It does seem that also the brokerages have all go into our own little directions.
Yeah.
That's confusing the issue, I think, as well.
Oh, sure.
It's not as uniform as it used to be. Like, NAR would put out a policy, and that policy was replicated through
That's right.
all the brokerages.
Right.
And that's your stream of information on now. It seems RE/MAX has its own idea, and EXP, and Real, and all these different agents, brokerages. And it's interesting for us as settlement agents because we're going to contend with, is this a seller credit or a concession? How is the commission? We really need to, I think the industry needs to revolutionize how their commission statements read.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
Because
and that's
it needs
happen.
to be detailed as hell. I mean, if it's not,
no,
it could create a problem.
It's gonna happen. There's still so many things that we have to see and go through before it all changes to where it needs to change, right? And we're evolving through this.
So do you think the lawsuit and the settlement agreement and all the DOJ, advice on it and their rulings, is it better for the consumer?
It will be. It's not yet.
Okay.
Right. Right now, it's very difficult because, again, the agents aren't sure of it. So, it's hard to convey that to the clients. At the end of the day, it's going to be, right?
So putting on your team leader hat, how are you training your buyer's agents, and what are you telling them the conversation should be?
So the conversation is, and this is a good conversation, right? So historically, the seller decided how much I got paid as a buyer's agent.
Correct.
That doesn't happen anymore. You, as my buyer, are going to decide how much I get paid.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. Let's see how it's going to look, right? Let's see, anybody can pay it at this point. Let's see how we can make you competitive at the same time of getting you the house, right?
And how does I'm sorry to interrupt you, but how does your buyer agent overcome the question, well, what happens if the seller doesn't pay for your commission?
So we don't really have that because we've talked about it up front. We've talked to our lenders, and our lenders are working on how to make sure they can qualify with that in it if we need it.
Gotcha.
Right? So
they're giving you different variables of,
absolutely.
Here's if this happens, I got you covered.
That's right.
If this happens, we'll go in this direction.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a great, a really good move.
And so our buyers know, every single offer could be different.
Right.
In this offer, we're going to do this. In this offer, we're going to do that because we want to get you the house, and we're going to do whatever it takes to get you the house, and this is how it can happen. And so, we've been using buyer agency agreements forever.
Yes, they've been around.
That wasn't hard for my team to get together. And just having this conversation now, understanding and letting people know the difference between a realtor and a non-realtor, right? I could be an agent and I'm a realtor, but there could be somebody that's not.
That's right.
That doesn't subscribe to the code of ethics, right?
Interesting.
You have to know that.
So let's talk about that. That's really
Sure.
a great point that you just brought up. Mm-hmm. So is that something a consumer should ask? Are you a real estate agent or are you a realtor? And can you give me the definition between the difference between the two?
Sure. So a real estate agent is not part of the National Association of Realtors.
Okay.
So they do.
And you can opt out as a real estate agent, not be.
If your company does not subscribe, that's correct.
Okay.
Depending
Gotcha.
on the brokerage, right?
Depending on the brokerage.
So and we have a three-way agreement with our local, state, and national. So you belong to the local, the state, and the national. But as a realtor, belonging to the National Association of Realtors, we subscribe to the Code of Ethics, to the Golden Rule, right? And so we have rules that we have to live by.
Right.
And if we don't, we can be brought to task, right?
How about
and
that?
we can have a violation. And so don't you want somebody working for you that is your fiduciary, that is a realtor?
That is absolutely true. I mean, attorneys have attorney rules of ethics.
Exactly.
So that is really, I never delved into this aspect of it, and I think it's important for people to understand. Having the code of ethics that you've subscribed to through NAR and being a realtor, it really elevates you.
Without a doubt. On so many levels.
Me as a consumer, I would want to know that.
Right.
Because I'm going to be protected.
That's correct.
But the real estate agent who does not, it says, why don't you?
Why?
Yeah, why? Why aren't you subscribing to NAR's code of ethics?
Exactly.
And consumers, I don't think they know that.
They don't.
They don't know that the word realtor and real estate agent are two completely different.
Exactly. They do not know that. And that's just the beginning of the education that we have to do for our consumer.
I think it's huge. I think that's the message that has to get out there, the value of being a realtor. Wow, that is incredible to me. And honestly, I've been around for a long time. I didn't know that. I got to be honest with you. I thought everybody had to be a realtor.
Yeah.
I thought you know.
Well, that makes sense.
Right.
Right? I would think that. I would want that, but that's not the case.
And it's funny, in my industry, we have to be a part of Alta. American Land Title Association, and they have best practices that we have to subscribe to.
Sure.
Making from escrow accounts and to the way we speak with people, handling their money, all those things are guided by the ALTA and what you should do. Of course, we have RESPA and the CFPB and all those other government entities, but having an organizational structure to give you the best practices that you subscribe to, people should understand the difference of who is subscribing to ALTA or who's subscribing to a realtor, because they want to elevate their game as a professional.
Without a doubt.
But I don't think we differentiate.
And I think that's what these changes are going to help us do, is raise the level of realtor, right? Raise the level of transparency. And once we get all this complexity out of the way, raise the level of understanding. Right. And so that when you and I sit down, you're not going to have a problem signing a buyer's agency agreement with me because you understand.
Right.
You know exactly what it means and how we're going to work together, what our relationship's going to do, how we begin it and how we end it.
Right.
Right? And it's all laid out. There should be no reason for you not to want to sign that, and let's find you a house.
So being the past president of NAR, or Nexus rather, how many members are of Nexus?
So we have about 6,000.
6,000. And how active are you?
Very.
Okay. And how much time during the week does that take?
A lot, right?
What's a lot? Can you put a number on it?
I work on several things. I work as a board of director for the New Jersey Realtors, and I'm also a board of director for the National Association of Realtors. And
give a busy person more work to do.
Right. So I'm on a bunch of committees
right.
that some of them I'm part of, some of them I lead, and I work on any given week. Probably with all of my committees and everything, I'm probably given a good 10 hours, I'm going to say.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So let's get into time management.
Sure.
And this is for new realtors or people who honestly are all over the place. How do you structure or compartmentalize? Brenda, I mean, and you have a team, you have your flips, you have the past vice president, and you're still active in Women's Council. So how do you compartmentalize all that?
So prioritize, right? At the beginning of the year, I have a yearly calendar, so I know what I have to do. What meetings I have to go to. I have a lot of people helping me, right? And when we have a committee, we meet, and a lot of people are doing a lot of things. So we just make sure things happen.
Right.
And a good part of it is actually I do work too much. I work a lot.
I think it's not work to you, though.
It's not. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's
yes.
who you are.
It is
as
who I
opposed
am.
to what you must do.
That's correct.
And I think
correct.
you enjoy that.
I
I've always
way
seen
enjoy
that.
I way enjoy learning. I way enjoy getting things done. Yeah, absolutely.
What I enjoy most about you, though, is how cool you are with everybody. You are. You don't really get mad or upset. You comport yourself in a very professional, calm, and confident way, and I find that truly amazing.
My daddy.
Your dad? Why is that?
My dad taught me everything. When I was a kid, he taught me about business from the time I was about 8 years old. We'd stay up at night and he'd be telling me all these things. I had no idea what it meant until things started to happen.
Right, and you reflect on that.
He would tell me about the gray area. He'd tell me about this, that, and the other thing. And I'd say, Dad, you're ridiculous, right?
Right. What are you talking about?
One time I said, Dad, why did you pick me to learn everything? Because I ran his business with him as well.
And what kind of business?
Windows and doors.
Windows and doors.
And
There's
so,
your background.
Yeah, and contracting and all,
Ooh.
yes. And so I said, Dad, why did you pick me? Because my brother, he could have been one, my sister. And he said, because you're the only one who listened. And I went, wow.
That's impressive.
Interesting. That's very interesting. And he taught me everything. I mean, I'm here today, the person I am because of him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Willingboro.
Did you? Mm-hmm. And how long did you live there for?
My mom lived there for 30 years. I moved there from when I was 7.
Okay.
Well, my dad was doing amazing in his company. We went to this brand new place, Willingboro, which was, incredible. Mm-hmm. The Italian-American family going in there. And then he fell off a ladder and got hurt.
Really?
And he lost his business. And so then he had a smaller business after that. And but my dad was a workaholic. He was an unbelievable worker. I think that's where I get it from, right? And he was a businessman, very smart businessman. He just
got injured.
Got injured, yeah.
You know, it's funny, not to get off subject here, but I knew an assemblyman who was very successful, and he was leading charges on committees, and he fell off a ladder too. And he had surgeries after surgeries, and it really, I mean, he walks, differently now, and so be careful on ladders.
Totally.
Not to get off that. So let's talk about your team. You're focused on what areas?
So we're in Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties.
Okay. And how are you penetrating the market with your team? What is the conversation that you're saying, okay, guys, this is where our marketing is going? Because you can't be everywhere all times.
No, you can't. And I have 3 very succinct people on my team. And then Elaine, who does our transaction processing. But so I have Joanna, who is more focused on the areas in which she knows, which is the Marlton, Medford, all those areas.
Sure.
I have Tracy, who is in social work, and she has a Master of Social degree, and she is awesome. She's more in the West Hampton area.
Okay.
Goes into the Gloucester, Camden areas. And then I have Kevin, who is like the consummate salesman. I've never met a salesman better than this guy. He's young. He's hungry, and he is so personable with everybody, right?
I've met him. He's
your friend.
Yes,
the
he's
minute
the guy.
you meet him, no matter who you are,
Yeah.
no matter what walk of life you come from, he is just
It's a
your
guy
friend.
you want to have a beer with.
Right, always.
Yep.
Always.
It's a good guy. And so now the team has been together for how long?
2 years. This
That's great.
current team, yes.
This current team.
Yeah.
And with all the changes that have gone on, how many people are coming to you within your company saying, Brenda, we need you to do the training classes?
So, that's...
Because Keller's big on training.
Keller's huge on training.
But they know how to pick the talent. I
will help them anytime they need help. And whenever they ask, I say yes, because I think that's my duty, right? When you jump in and do the things that I do, I don't do them just for me. I do it to share it with everybody.
Right.
And so whenever they ask me to help, whoever asks, I'm never going to say no.
So here we are today in 2024. What's next for you?
For me?
Yes. What's the bucket list item that you want to get?
I
know you have one.
In 2024, my goal was to develop this global commercial area. So now it's working. It's getting underway. We worked through it all year. We have and I'm hoping that you join us on the 24th at our first meeting.
I'll be there.
And it's kind of a meeting to meet the people from the National Association of Realtors that are in global, and from the state, and from our forming Nexus, right? Nexus is forming this committee.
Okay.
And we're getting our committee members together, and we're going to learn, right? Getting my CIPS, I learned so much about different cultures, and how amazing is that you
Yes.
can work with that. And a lot of people that are coming here from other countries come here, get a house for them and their family, and then they
need to be prepared.
They want a business. They want to open a grocery store,
Yes.
or they want to open a small business. So the small and mid commercial and global is where I want to bring our team into next.
I think that's an incredible move, because honestly, it's a very small group that's involved in commercial. I know the big companies and all that stuff.
That's right.
But quite honestly, I think there's a big opening.
There's
in
a need.
commercial. There's a big need.
That there's such a need for that small to mid that know what they're doing.
That 100%.
Yeah, that understand it.
I think there's realtors, not real estate agents, but realtors that could pivot out of residential, that could become really good commercial people.
Agreed.
And be greater successes, because the conversation is different with a commercial buyer.
It is.
It's not so regulated
Right.
as residential is, because you're dealing with government money, the mortgages, and
Right.
the lawsuits. Not on the commercial side.
So at KW Commercial, we are making sure that we have buyer's agency agreements and listing agreements with anybody, right?
Okay.
So we want an exclusive agreement with you if we're going to work with you.
Sure.
That's number one. outside of that, yes, we don't have all the consumer protection laws that we do there. And then you have all the analytical, right?
That's the big part.
That's the huge part.
Being able to understand ROI, cap rate, all those things.
NOI, all of that. Yeah, exactly.
And we can have a whole class or discussion.
Hours and hours.
And I think you're going in the right direction. I think more realtors should jump into that class that you're going to be offering through Nexus and learn about this and make a decision.
Right.
Because you can't be both.
And that's it. Well, you can. They call it resi-mercial.
Yeah, it's
right. And the commercial people don't really want to
they don't
get in there, right? I'm like, I'm resi-mercial and I'm proud of it. right? But no, you're right. There's a change. There's something different that you have to do. And that's exciting, getting to that level and understanding how to read the reports and how to create the reports and how to put a presentation together to a commercial client.
Does Keller Williams have in their commercial division the presentation, when they're going in front of a business owner who's looking for a 10,000 square foot space?
We do.
And it breaks down, forget about purchasing. That's a whole nother presentation. But the lease option,
Exactly.
and they have to do the fit out cost.
Exactly.
And all the different, laws and regulations and who you have to go to. I mean, that's...
Right.
It's a lot to chew.
There is a lot to chew, and I have to tell you, I'm so impressed with the KW. They've raised their limits in the way they're doing KW Commercial now, and they're rebranding KW Commercial, and they're a big player now, right?
Yes.
And so I'm learning so much from the mentors there that are giving me, what's there. They said, pick where you want to be, pick what you want to be.
Right.
And so, of course, I want multifamily. Right, of course.
Everybody does.
And
it's like
that's
the best.
Right, mixed use, multifamily, industrial. That all excites me. Right, and so that doesn't mean I wouldn't do something else. But I'm looking to help the small commercial client.
That's awesome.
At this point.
So your team could possibly, I'm just visualizing this, it could be the residential section, and you're the person that's going to sit with the commercial buyer.
And I'm going to hire some commercial realtors as well.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel once I get
Will you
to
take
that,
new people and train them?
Absolutely, that's what I do.
Okay.
Right, that's what I do. I would prefer somebody with me that knows what they're doing.
Of course.
To talk about with, right? Like you and I used to have every conversation. I loved talking to you.
What do you think of this? And what do you think of that?
That's right. And so I'm looking for somebody like that. But yeah, would I train new people in that? Absolutely.
So Brenda, we talked about all your business ventures. You're a grandmother.
I am.
How old is your granddaughter?
She's 12.
And her name?
Is Lily.
And your daughter, Tina, is she now with your team? Or
no, so Tina has never been a realtor. It's not her thing. But Caitlin, is a realtor. And she got married and went to Florida.
Okay.
And so I think she's going to take her broker's license in Florida.
Good for her.
She might be coming back here. And when she comes back, she wants to get back into it.
My God. Yeah. Keeping down your team, Nexus, Women's Council, and being a mom, a grandmom, and a mom.
It's loving what you do, right?
It's amazing. That's why I sit there like, and people do ask me sometimes, like, how do you do all this stuff?
Right.
You just do it.
Because you love it.
Don't complain. Right. Throw yourself into it and get it done.
That's right.
And then wherever the results are, you work from there.
And I can't tell you how many times I say, I've got this. We've got this. We've got this, right?
That is your saying. I've heard you say that a few times. We've got this.
Yeah.
So Brenda, I want to thank you for being with me today.
Thank you, Chris.
It's awesome.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
My honor to have you here.
Thank you.
I know you're a busy lady.
Appreciate it.
And coming here and speaking with us today was awesome. Thank you so much.
I so enjoyed it.
Me too.
Thank you.